Hey y'all, it's me, Armel. I was sitting here thinking about some things. Uh, my brother, my cousin, Cuzzo, fat guy with guns, introduced me to. He asked me a question. You know what I mean? Because he knows what I do for a living, and I'm a builder. You know, I've been building, working in critical infrastructure since 1992, and I'm into firearms and into self defense and into self reliance. And he asked me, my cousin, fat guy with guns, Zach, asked me, he said, Armel, if shit was to ever hit the fan, what tools would you recommend? And I was like, whether shit hit the fan or not, you know what I mean? This, a firearm, would be just like it would be in any other situation. It's a last resort. But if shit was at the fan, you know what I mean? The first thing I would do is not bug out. You know what I mean? Is secure the place where I'm at. So, being that I was secure the place I was at, I would I had to seriously think about this. The tool that I would use, the tools that I would recommend for anyone to use, or the tools that I recommend, whether shit hit the fan or not, everybody needs to have these tools and some sort of skills with them, some sort of training with them. The first, you know what I mean? And this is power tools. I'm gonna get into hand tools later on. You know what I mean? But this is power tools. You know what I mean? Because when shit hit the fan, it's going to be a situation where you still may have power, and you will have to have, you know, keep your you still have power. And if you don't have power, you hopefully, if you preparing for if you ready for preparing and ready for a shit hit the fan, hopefully you have a generator. And I hope you don't have your generator running to the point where you want to power all your internet and all your utilities. With me, I would think that you would have your generator to power your batteries. And with that, in the beginning of a shit hit the fan situation, I would recommend that you charge your power tool batteries. So, what power tools would I recommend that everyone have? Being a builder, I probably build and work in critical infrastructure on every continent on the planet Earth, including Antarctica. I would recommend first and foremost a drill, preferably a hammer drill. I mean, this is the Milwaukee fuel, but like I said, I make money doing this. I'm a builder, but I would recommend something with. I wouldn't recommend Harbor Freight because for the price, I would probably recommend something like a Home Depot brand Richard or a Lowe's brand Cobalt or something like that. But this is a Milwaukee fuel. You know, this is a drill, a hammer drill preferably, even though some people that are into tools will say a hammer drill really don't hammer or whatever the heck. But as for basic that everyone should have, you should have a drill with a hammer function. You know what I mean? This is number one. The reason why you will want to have a drill is you may need to drill some holes, you know what I mean, whether to make a fire or anything. Those, you know, uh, a drill is basically the easiest making holes to. I'm not gonna nerd out and get into. I don't want to nerd out and get into engineering, but get into Venturi effects and the way air moves. But everybody needs a drill, whether it's shit hit the fan or not. You may need to drill a hole in order. It's way easier to drill a hole and then drive a screw in than it is to directly drill a hole with just a bit. Drill a screw with just a bit. The second one I would have is a impact. Like I said, I would recommend a brand with a lifetime warranty. Whether shit hit the fan or not, you may need to drop some screws. It's way easier to use this than to use a hand screwdriver. Uh, I would recommend it when you're looking for one to look for one with like I would say these things here, an adjustable, a variable drive mechanism, so you won't have to drive at full power. You could just do it a little bit, and it takes some practice to get the skill set for the ones that have constant speed to pull the trigger. It's kind of just like a firearm, you know. You got a little bit, little bit, little bit, little bit. But if you already got your torque set and your speed set to 1, 2, or 3, like here, I would say. I don't know if you can see it with the camera, but it has like a 1, 2, or 3 setting. Something with a variable speed and variable torque would be preferable to drive like fasteners or whatever. I'll get more into each individual tool as far as drill index for the drill and far as bits for the impact. The third tool I would highly recommend would be this right here. This is a saw, but Sawzall. I think Milwaukee branded this as Sawzall, but it's a reciprocating saw. You know, everybody don't call it Sawzall. It's literally a reciprocating saw, and I'll get into the different blades in another video when I break down this particular one or this particular tool. But a Sawzall, this Sawzall is a lot of times used to cut things, you know what I mean, in awkward positions. It does a lot of things. It's sort of a jack of all trades, especially when we need to do things fast. You know what I mean? Whether it's cutting branches, pruning trees, fast cutting lumber or wood. Yeah, this is a Sawzall. You know, most brands would do, but like I said, I would look at brands that are more reputable and do some things. This is a Sawzall. I would definitely everybody have whether it's a shit hit the fan situation or not. You need one of these. You might need to cut some pipes, cut some lumber. The most important thing in shit hit the fan before you even bug out is to secure your current situation. And if you need to cut some stuff fast, this is what you use. You know what I mean? A saw. If you need to cut some water, you know what I mean? Get some pipes together. This is the thing. I'm gonna get deeper into this in a separate video. You know what I mean? When I'm gonna get into proper use of the Sawzall. That's the third tool. The fourth tool I would have would be this. They call this a skill saw or a skill saw. You know what I mean? But that's when skill used to be the only one that makes it. But it's a circular saw. It's a proper name for it. This is a they all don't look like this. They're smaller ones. Like I said, mine's is more in the realm of professional use, but they come in a little different shape. A left hand drive. This is here is a left hand drive, something like a worm gear, but it's not as. This is a Milwaukee battery powered worm gear. So, but it's not a worm gear, but you don't have to have this. That's more. I'll get in more details without this when I actually do a video about the individual tool itself. But this right here, you need that in order to cut plywood. Just imagine being plywood or sheet products. Imagine if shit does hit the fan, you need to board up your windows. This is the best tool to do it, man. You may have hand tools, it'll take forever to do that, and it requires a higher skill set to do that with a handsaw than to cut sheet products with a handsaw than to do with something like this. And I'm not saying it's probably easier if you have a table saw or a track saw or something like that. But for most everyday people, this a circular saw will work whether shit hit the fan or not. You know what I mean? And you need to practice with it because it takes a certain cutting straight lines through sheet products. You need a person needs to practice to do these things. You know what I mean? But they sell these things at every big box store, Walmart or Home Depot, Lowe's. I wouldn't recommend Harbor Freight, but they do. If it's the closest thing to you, you should have that thing. Now, this is a little bit of bonus, right? I told you 4 tools, but this is a little bit of bonus. This right here is an oscillating tool. It's an oscillating multi-tool. You could take a look at this. This daggone thing does similar work as this circular saw and this sawzall, right? Reciprocating saw. But it does it in a different motion. It kind of works like a barbershop clipper. This thing here is completely versatile. You know what I mean? And I'm getting more into what it actually does when I go into the attachment that goes on them, the blades, you know what I mean? As if I'm going to do with this circular saw, and as I'm going to do with the sawzall, and as I'm going to do with the impact, and as I'm going to do with the drill. Because the attachments that go on these power tools determine how easy and how efficient you can do the things that you need to do as efficiently and as effective as possible. And I know my big thing in a shift scenario, before bugging out and all of that extra stuff, you need to secure where you at for at least 3 days. You know what I mean? 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. That's how I get down. 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. You need to stay in place. You know what I mean? We'll get into communications and all of that. But in order to stay anywhere in a bad situation for 3 days, you need to be able to secure that place. You know what I mean? A lot of preppers and people who are into readiness will say you have food and all this stuff. But if you can't secure the place where your food is kept, you're going to run into a problem. And that's where these tools come to play. You need to figure out how to use this drill. You need to know how to use this fastener, which type of attachments that you're going to use for this. You need to know how to use this saw. You know what I mean? When you need to cut things, and how to use this securing your windows, your doors. You know what I mean? You need to know how to cut your sheet goods, how much sheet goods you need to have, how to cut it, measurements. There's a lot of nuances to it. And like I said, this thing is so versatile. This thing right here, this multi-tool is so versatile. It can take the place of both saws, but it has this niche response, and I would always recommend that everyone has one. I think Fine was the first company to make this up. You know what I mean? But this daggone thing does what it needs to do, especially when it comes to securing your household. This is a bonus. But those other four are necessities. Every person in the world should have at least those four. And later on, these two, this is not, this one extra. Those four and this one extra in their inventory. And they have free classes at Home Depot and Lowe's, or you could do if you feel really good about yourself and you really want to learn, they have Habitats for Humanity and all kinds of stuff if you want to get practical applications. But I'll really, really recommend that not only that you have these tools somewhere in your house, right? And you take effort, serious effort, to learning how to use them. Like a drill may seem very daggone, but I know a lot of people who can't use a drill to its maximum efficiency. Having power tools in a shift situation, in a shit hit the fan situation, is so important because the batteries, like I said, these batteries can be used on multiple platforms. Like I say, I have like a generator, right? And if I can imagine a shift situation where I'm going to need to use a generator, right? I don't want the generator running all day, all night, ringing an alarm and drawing attention to me. When I'm gonna have a set time for that generator to run, 1, 2 hours, and during that time that generator is running, it's charging the battery power. It's charging my batteries. Because as long as I can charge batteries, I can get some stuff done. I can fortify my environment. I can become a harder target. You know what I mean? Marauders and all these things I can imagine, they like easy stuff. That's why they're cheating out, stealing, and doing all kinds of criminal activities. They like easy things. They don't like nothing that's hard. So if something that was solid, hard, confident, don't mess with it, they'll generally back off. You know, unless they think they can overtake it. But so you want to make your thing, your home, or wherever you locking down at, as fortified as possible. I don't care if it's a shed in the middle of nowhere, or a shed in the middle of a field, or a backyard, or a schoolhouse. You're going to need to fortify it. And to fortify it, you're going to need tools. You're going to need a drill. You're going to need an impact. You're going to need a sawzall. You're going to need a circular saw. And you might need a multi-tool, an oscillating saw. There's some hand tools that can take this place, but I'm just talking about generally fortification at the beginning. Now, I'm going to go over these things with the power tools, and I'm going to go over the things with the hand tools. The difference is, and I know a lot of people are going to talk about how if power run out and you don't have electricity, your power tool batteries, I hope, please, please, people, keep your power tool batteries always charged. As soon as you're done using the tool, plug it in, keep it charged, make sure your batteries are healthy. The other side, power tools are so much easier to do, to use than hand tools. You know what I mean? Hand tools, right? Even though they don't have batteries, they require a higher skill set. Everybody can't just get a saw and start sawing because there's it takes practice and it takes proficiency to use hand tools. And even if you're that good with it, a hammer, a screwdriver. I know somebody. I see a lot of outback people, off grid people using like these hand drills. That shit is all cool, right? But that's an artisan function. That regular as hand drill requires you got to keep a steady hand and you have to drill with the other hand. The battery powered drill in the beginning situation is so much easier. You still have to use the same principles, but it's so much easier and so much more efficient. So just when you hunkering down, just get you some power tools. Hopefully the ones that I recommended. Lock yourself, fortify your location, and 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 take it from there. You see what I'm saying? There's other tools that I'm gonna go over in this series. Hand tools, hammers, screwdrivers. But please, this is your initial investment. Please invest in some power tools. Invest in, and if you can't invest in a generator right now, keep those power tools charged. Keep the batteries charged for the power tools. You know what I mean? Learn how to use these power tools. Because in the early states of shit hitting the fan, you need to fortify yourself and you need to be secure. I don't know how else to do it. I don't know any gimmicks, or I don't know. I'm not super into this YouTube thing, but I know how to build. I know physical security. I know how to do these things. I've been doing this. This is the only thing I can speak with so much passion. You know what I mean? Things hit the fan. I know that I need to shut down this house. Security environment. Keep everybody in. Keep everybody in. Allow simple access. Whether shit hit the fan or not. I need to make sure my doors are locked. My home is secure where I can sleep in peace. I don't want to be an easy target. I don't want to be a soft target, as it's called. I want to be as secure as possible. The best security is barriers. I need to be able to build barriers. In order to build barriers, I need to know how to use tools. In the very beginning, if you can figure out a way to have electricity or to have batteries, batteries have been around since the 18th century. 19th century, batteries have been around forever. The priority of your electric generation needs to be to charge your batteries, especially in the beginning. Don't waste it on the internet. Don't waste it on your refrigerators and all this stuff. If you don't have cooler batteries, you know what I mean? In the time, do not waste time. Use your batteries efficiently. That's why it's so important to figure out to have these tools and practice. Just get pieces of wood, lumber, anything. Purchase you some blades and some accessories for these power tools, and figure out how even cut a straight line with a circular saw. You know what I mean? Figure out your way. Figure out how to drive screws. Screws are really, really cheap. Figure out how to drive screws continuously without straight. You know what I mean? Figure out how to drive holes without breaking a bit. You know what I mean? This is just like really basic things, but I was so surprised that so many people don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you, man. This is a video last minute. It's just something heavy on my heart that I just wanted to bring to y'all. So take care. This was a complete freestyle. I just decided to do it the last minute. But take care, and I hope y'all visit my channel again.